presence of God and the good teaching and the solid ground there. You know, we have moved on. People say, oh, you should be like the old days and things like that. But we're moving on. There's a new culture. See, people are crying out for the things of God, but what's happening in the world is there's so many things being taken up. The time, even as Christians, our time is taken up so much when we don't realize we're only on this earth for a little moment, and what we do now goes into eternity. We only got a little bit of time and we're playing around. My goodness. We've got things to do. We've got the armor of God on us. We've got to get these people out of hell. These walls are breaking down. People are out there, you know, evil and witchcraft and Satanism is on the rise and it's openly accepted. How far have the walls broken? Remember Pastor Kerry went up to a landscape place just outside of Capalaba because they had demonic things, you know, statues all out the front. She said, I've had enough. She went up there to the owner and said, that's not accepted. That's not accepted. And there are Christians in this place who think that is wrong. Well, he just blasphemed her and he said, you Christians are all the same and so on. I don't see him there now. But she had the guts to stand up for what's right. And I think we as Christians, if we're going to see true revival, we need to be people that are absolutely sold out for God and have the fire of God on our life, that it will just consume all sin every time we get close to it. And I want to be a part of that. I really do in here. That's my revival heart. I want it so bad. But I don't pay the price enough. And if I'm not paying the price, I know you aren't paying the price enough. We need to get serious if we're going to see revival. I was talking to someone this week and they were just saying some of these bigger churches, all they do is it's like a show. To the point it attracts all the young people, but then what happens is they go back out in the world to the Friday night to the nightclub and Saturday and Sunday to church. And it's okay. There's no accountability. Lord, help us if we get that big that we miss the accountability. The world has got such a pull upon Christians. We have to be so careful because it's going to take us off what we have to do while we are breathing on earth. Nehemiah says the walls are broken down. Let's have a look what he says after it. Verse 4, he says, when I heard this, I sat down and cried. I cried. I mean, are we crying for that generation that's lost? Are we crying for the broken walls that we see every day? Do we sit down and just weep about the things that are happening in our family? Do we really? When did you cry for a sinner lately? When did you cry when you saw the abortion bill starting to come? When did you cry when you saw the surrogacy bill come? The church was quiet. There was only four votes that missed out because the church was quiet. We have to start standing up for who we are if we want to see revival, true revival. This church is not a mediocre church. I had someone leave the church recently and said, oh, it's all about mind manipulation and it's about, control and all that sort of stuff. And when people come to the front and stuff. He missed it. He missed the whole thing about what our heart has to be to get down and just be submitted to God and come and lay it at the altar. So they find a church that they're happy with because it's mediocre, it's okay, not challenging in any way. Well, if you belong to the Rock, you're going to be challenged. I don't want a mediocre church. I want one on fire. I want one that we go out and touch every person, not just in food bank, but in your life. My daughter this week, she went to a petrol station and she went up to pay the fuel and she said to herself, to God, I wish someone would pay for my fuel. And just as she said that, while she was putting the fuel in the car, a guy come out and said to his friend next door, my card got declined. I don't know what we're going to do. A guy nearly 40. So Amanda's walking in to pay for a fuel. And God says, you need to treat others as you would like to be treated. She just got a bit of cash. She said, how much was his bill? The man said, $60. She said, I won't pay it. And she paid it. And she said, but give the agape card to him, please. Have you given out an agape card this week? Have you thought of anyone? Give him the agape card. And as they did, the people stood behind her and he just went, there you go. While she was standing there. A bit embarrassed about it all. And they said, what's this? Said, your fuel's paid. He said, what do you mean? They were stunned. They were standing, shaking them. What are you talking about? Your fuel's been fixed up. It's okay. But this lady has just picked your fuel up. She gets all right. She's trying to walk out. And they're just standing there stunned looking. What? Don't understand this. That's love with no strings attached. Loving a world, not to say come into Christ first and then I'll love you. Let me preach the gospel for you, then I'll give you something. Don't have any agendas, but just love. Just as Romans said, just love. Because love covers a multitude of sins, and from love we'll see true revival. Because then they'll speak into your life. When saw my cousin out west again, unsaved. And what a great opportunity I had. And they asked me questions about church and about my faith. Knows a lot about it. But there was an opportunity there. Because all you got to do is love. Meet people where they are. We have a world going to hell. We have walls broken down. And it's time that we rise up and say, we want what Nehemiah had. We want a heart that will sit and cry and weep for his people, that they were desolate, they were in destruction, they had no home. Let's read on. He says, I sat down and cried. Then for several days, I mourned several days, not one day, several days. I mourned and I went without eating to show my sorrow, and I prayed. He fasted and he prayed for something that was so important for him, that he was broken and he was weeping and he was mourning. He couldn't even do work. He was just thinking about the people. How long since you fasted for something that you really want to see happen? I talked to someone this week who's been fasting for 40 days in this church. 40 days, just finished a full 40-day fast. The best I've ever done is 21, without eating and drinking. 40 days because they're serious about a situation. That's revival. When we're serious, instead of just going back home and turning on the TV and forget about those who are getting lost. Come on. We can all continue to rise. He says he mourned without eating. And then it goes on a bit further in verse 6. It says, I am your servant, Lord. So please have mercy on me and answer my prayer that I make day and night for these people of Israel who serve you. If we're going to see this wave, if we're going to see this church explode in salvations, not Christians transferring, but salvations, it's going to start with you and me. It's going to start where we continue to just break off the old and die. Put away all the other books and read the Bible. How much of the Bible have you read this week? How many books of the Bible have you read this week? Come on. If I was going to ask each and every one of you, what did God say to you this morning in your quiet time? Did you have a quiet time this morning? What did God say to you yesterday? Did you journal yesterday? Have you picked up your Bible this week? Do you know where your Bible is, or do you only know where it is on Sundays? Come on, it's not a hard message. It's what we need to do. We need to be broken like Nehemiah. He goes on and he sees the king, and the king says he's downhearted. And chapter 2, verse 4, the king asks him, he says, what do you want me to do? You see, when people see that you're real and people see a change within your life, they want to help you.